People, you stopped laughing. Not because you lost your sense of humor. People, not because you became bitter or broken or cold for no reason. You stopped laughing because you finally heard what was underneath the punchline. You heard the truth wrapped in irony. You heard the confession disguised as comedy. You heard them tell you exactly who they were, exactly what they thought of you, exactly how little you mattered to them. And they smiled while they said it, and everyone else kept laughing. That's when you knew. That's when the room went silent, even though the noise continued. That's when you realized you were surrounded by people who couldn't hear what you heard, who couldn't see what you saw. These civilized people who were too comfortable in their delusions to recognize a confession when it slapped them across the face. They thought it was a joke. You knew it was a warning. They said it with a grin. I'm just kidding. But you saw their eyes. You felt the weight behind the words. These civilized people. You recognized the pattern because you'd been paying attention while everyone else was distracted by the performance. They told you they didn't respect you. They told you they were using you. They told you they'd abandon you the moment it was convenient. And they packaged it as humor, so you'd have no right to be angry. No ground to stand on if you called them out. No defense against the gaslighting that would come if you dared to say, that wasn't funny. Because if you didn't laugh, you were sensitive. You were overreacting. You couldn't take a joke. But here's what they didn't count on. Here's what broke their script. You stopped playing along. When you stopped forcing the laugh, you stopped pretending their cruelty was comedy. You stopped participating in your own humiliation. And the moment you went quiet, the moment your face went flat and your eyes went cold and you just stopped, they felt it. The shift. The frequency change. The sudden absence of your energy feeding their performance. They needed you to laugh. They needed you to validate the disguise. People. They needed you to pretend it was all in good fun, so they could keep hiding their venom behind smiles. But you refused. You saw through the mask. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you hear the truth in their jokes, you can't unhear it. Once you understand that people will tell you exactly who they are if you listen closely enough, you stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. You stopped laughing because you woke up. And they hate that. They hate that you're no longer blind. They hate that you're no longer complicit. People, they hate that you walked away from the theater and refused to applaud the actors who were mocking you on stage. They hate that you chose dignity over belonging. They hate that you chose truth over comfort. People, they hate that you'd rather stand alone in clarity than sit in a crowd drowning in delusion. So they'll call you bitter. They'll say you changed. They'll say you used to be fun. They'll say you can't take a joke anymore. They'll say you're too serious now, too intense, too cold. And they'll say it like it's an insult, like being awake is a flaw, like seeing clearly is a disease, like refusing to laugh at your own degradation is somehow proof that you're broken. But you know better. You know that the moment you stopped laughing, you started living. You know that the moment you stopped pretending, you started healing. You know that the moment you stopped accepting disrespect disguised as humor, you started respecting yourself. You know that the moment you walked away from people who needed you weak to feel strong, you became dangerous. Because a man who doesn't need validation is a threat. A man who doesn't need approval is ungovernable. A man who doesn't need to be liked is free. People. And they can't control someone who's free. They can't manipulate someone who sees the game. Civilized people. They can't weaponize shame against someone who's already walked through the fire and emerged on the other side with nothing left to lose and nothing left to prove. You stopped laughing because you learned the language. You learned how people confess in code. These civilized people, you learned how they test you with mockery to see if you'll defend yourself or swallow it. You learn how they reveal their contempt in increments. Civilized people, small enough that you'll question yourself before you question them. Sharp enough that it cuts, but wrapped in enough ambiguity that they have plausible deniability if you bleed. It was just a joke. But jokes are how cowards tell the truth. Jokes are how weak people express aggression without consequences. These civilized people, jokes are how they say what they really think while maintaining the cover of plausible deniability. Jokes are how they test your boundaries, erode your self-respect, and normalize disrespect in slow motion. And if you accept it, if you laugh along, if you play the role they assigned you, they know they can go further. They know they can take more. They know you'll tolerate worse because you've already tolerated this. But you didn't tolerate it. You stopped laughing, and the game ended. That's why they're uncomfortable around you now. That's why they avoid you. People, that's why they whisper when you're not around and go quiet when you enter the room. People, because you remind them of something they don't want to face. You remind them that they're performers. You remind them that their humor is a weapon. You remind them that they hide behind jokes because they lack the courage to be honest. And your presence, your silence, your refusal to laugh, holds up a mirror they don't want to look into. They see themselves reflected in your cold stare. They see their fakeness. They see their cowardice. They see their cruelty. And they hate you for it because it's easier to hate you than to fix themselves. You stopped laughing and they took it personally. Because to them, your laughter was compliance. Your laughter was permission. Your laughter was proof that they could hurt you and you'd accept it. People, and when you stopped giving them that, when you stopped feeding the machine, when you stopped being the punchline, you stopped being useful to them. And useless to them means dangerous to them. Because now you're not a participant, you're a witness. You're evidence that their game only works if everyone plays along. You're proof that someone can walk away. You're a threat to the illusion they've built where cruelty is funny, where disrespect is normal, where betrayal is expected, where loyalty is laughable, where weakness is entertainment and strength is mocked. You stopped laughing and you broke the spell. Now you see them clearly. You see how they operate. You see how they bond over shared cruelty. You see how they build their friendships on the foundation of someone else's humiliation. You see how they need a target, a scapegoat, a punching bag to feel powerful. You see how they cycle through victims, people, how they discard people the moment those people stop accepting abuse, people. How they always find someone new to mock, because the mockery is the point. It was never about you. It was always about them. Their need to feel superior, their need to feel in control, their need to deflect from their own inadequacy by highlighting yours. Their need to make you small so they could feel big. Their need to wound you just enough that you'd stay wounded, but not enough that you'd leave. But you left anyway, not physically maybe, but energetically, emotionally. You withdrew. You stopped giving them access. You stopped being available for their games. You stopped offering yourself up as entertainment. You stopped laughing, and in doing so, you became unreachable, and that terrifies them. Because they don't know what to do with someone who doesn't react. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't defend, doesn't explain, doesn't argue, doesn't justify. They don't know how to hurt someone who's already been through worse than anything they could ever say. These civilized people, they don't know how to break someone who's already been shattered and put themselves back together with their own hands in the dark, where no one was watching. You stopped laughing because you've been to the abyss, people. You've sat alone in the silence with your demons and your doubts and your damage, and you survived it. You faced the parts of yourself they use as ammunition, and you've made peace with them. You've looked in the mirror and accepted the scars and the shadows and the sharp edges they tried to shame you for. And once you've done that, once you've walked through your own nightmare and come out the other side, their little jokes don't land anymore, because you know who you are and you know who they are. And the distance between those two truths is too vast for their humor to bridge. They're still pretending. You stopped pretending, they're still performing. You stopped performing, you stopped performing, they're still hiding. You stopped hiding, they're still afraid of being seen. You stopped caring about being seen because you've already seen yourself, the real version, the raw version, people, the version that doesn't need their approval or validation or laughter. You stopped laughing because you outgrew the audience. You outgrew the need to fit in. You outgrew the need to be understood by people who don't want to understand. You outgrew the need to explain yourself to people who've already decided who you are. You outgrew the need to defend your boundaries to people who will violate them anyway. People, you outgrew the need to make yourself smaller so they could feel bigger. Bull. You stopped laughing and you started observing. You started listening to what people don't say. People. You started watching what people do when they think no one's paying attention. You started noticing the patterns, the cycles, the scripts. You started recognizing the manipulations before they landed. You started seeing the setup before the punchline. Once you see the machinery behind the magic trick, you can't be fooled by it anymore. That's the power they fear. That's the threat you represent, not your anger, not your bitterness, not your coldness, your clarity, your awareness, your refusal to be gaslit. These civilized people, your ability to see them exactly as they are and walk away without needing to convince them or change them or fix them. You stopped laughing and you became sovereign. You reclaimed your energy. You reclaimed your attention. You reclaimed your time. You reclaimed your peace. These civilized people, you stopped giving pieces of yourself to people who saw you as a resource to be drained, a joke to be told, a role to be filled. You stopped being accessible to people who only valued you when you were useful and discarded you when you weren't. And now you move differently. You speak differently. You exist differently. There's a weight to you now that wasn't there before. A gravity, a presence, something ancient and unmovable. People. Something that doesn't need to announce itself because it's felt the moment you enter a room. People, something that makes weak people uncomfortable and strong people curious. You stopped laughing because you learned the most dangerous lesson a man can learn. That most people are not your friends. Most smiles are not genuine. Most kindness is transactional. Most loyalty is conditional. And most of what you were taught about how the world works was a lie designed to keep you compliant, confused, and controllable. You stopped laughing because you saw the truth. And the truth doesn't need a punchline. The truth doesn't need approval. The truth doesn't need to be funny or palatable or comfortable. The truth just is. And once you accept it, once you stop fighting it, once you stop trying to make it something it's not, you become dangerous in the best possible way. You become someone who can't be lied to, someone who can't be manipulated, someone who can't be shamed into silence, someone who can't be mocked into submission, someone who walks through the world with their eyes open and their guard up and their standards non-negotiable. You stopped laughing, and in that silence, you found your power. In that refusal, you found your dignity. In that withdrawal, you found your peace, and they'll never forgive you for it. They'll never understand it. They'll never stop trying to pull you back into the game. But you won't go back. You've seen what's on the other side of the laughter. You've heard what's underneath the jokes. You've learned what people really mean when they smile and cut you at the same time. And once you really know, there's no going back to sleep. You stopped laughing, and that's when you started winning.